Hi, I posted an article on my personal blog recently regarding one way to install Kubernetes 1.29, the Mandala release, onto a FreeBSD control plane. And I promised a demo on it, and well, here it is. And let's see. I can first show you the article. And here I have described the steps I took to get this up and running. And this is not any official, it's just for experimental use for home lab and not for productional usage. You won't find the binaries at the official repositories, as FreeBSD, Illumis, and other exotic operating systems are not considered ports by the Kubernetes project, but I have already compiled and uploaded them to my Git repository. Feel free to download them from there if you want to, or compile them yourself, or pick them from the FreeBSD ports. I don't know what version and what components they have compiled, but there are certainly some of them at least. And prerequisites, I am running this on the FreeBSD 14 release. And during the blog, I wrote down steps, and that's what we will run through now. And the first step is to generate the certificates. And I have already prepared now a script for this, which is exactly the same, besides that I found this a while ago. I didn't put a comment here, so it outputs an error that this command is not a valid one. It wasn't something I cached while writing this, as it's just error for the output. No, let's run this script. It will take a while, as it due to the strength of the certificates, but I guess this is what will almost take the longest amount of time. And what it does is that it generates a root certificate authority, and then it generates intermediate certificate authorities for the Kubernetes CA and for the Kubernetes front proxy and for the etcd. And in the end, it will also generate the cluster admin configuration, kubeconfig. And I have also typed down here example for how to join or generate worker node certificates. But I will show you later on. I will try to do this with bhyve virtual machines. Now with the certificates generated, can go into the folder I have designated for that. Here we have them. And here we have the cluster administrator certificate or kubeconfig generated. So that in place, we will proceed to create the VNet, I believe it what they are called, VNet thin jails. And I have gathered this part into a script. And just call it create new. So hang on, it will take a while. So not really that long. The etcd cluster is up and running. And I have a status check with the etcd CTL utility. And then the Cube API server is up and running. You can check it. There are no nodes. There are no pods. And we can, sorry, that one. We can see here that we have created the objects in the etcd for the various resources. So what can we do with this cluster now? At this stage, when we don't have any worker nodes, we can create secrets and configuration maps and objects, but we can't do any fun stuff. So what we will have to do then, I didn't write anything of that down here, but I have prepared for first, go back here. I create an initial script on which I create a Z volume, and then I download the Ubuntu cloud image. For the Jammy long-term release, and it's this one, a QCOW image. And what I do with that is that I have the QEMU img command, which I just type that it should be output to a raw format. And it's this raw format that I put into the Z volume with a pipe viewer, and then I generate a structure for all the networking and so on. I create a bridge interface, or the TAP. I don't know what TAP stands for, but a TAP interface to my dedicated bridge, which I have on a separate VLAN. And as I have not done any DNS related stuff, I just add the IP address for the bhyve host into the API server host file, generate the kubeconfig certificate for the worker node, and then a cloud init. But this took about 2 minutes per guest, so I will show how it ended up with. And as you can see here, I looked at the Searcher's VM frontend for bhyve, but for me it felt overly complicated. I have not tried it out extensively, but I just used the bhyve command as it suits my purposes with the cloud init. So at first I will start at Tmax to have the guest consoles in separate interfaces. And for the cloud init, I have just created a directory structure, and I run the Python built-in HTTP server. And as I showed you first, I had one script. I can show you here. I have promoted clone. I did the first script to create one guest, and then with that guest I shut it down and created a snapshot, cloned the snapshot, and promoted it to live separately here. And then with the help of that snapshot, I will push it out to a new volume and then do the same thing. This saved me like almost 90 seconds. There's still some glitches here, but let's work this out and see what will happen. And as I'm using the metadata server for the cloud init, the guest will fetch a DHCP address. And I take care of it with some kind of hack. And also, I don't know if this is due to the bhyve here on FreeBSD or if it's due to the cloud init metadata service. You saw complain about the permissions for the net plan. Now this one is up and running. We can look at the metadata server. It fetched metadata file to know its name and then the user data, which provisions all the client stuff here. But now we can go to the that one. We can see we now have a node, but we still don't have any pods. We don't have any interesting resources like deployments or daemon sets, nothing. What can we do now? Yeah, well, first we can do what we did at the moment. We create another worker just for fun. And let's see here, I think I have in my command history in place. What I do is from the core DNS project, which have been the de facto standard DNS service for Kubernetes, we implement core DNS and replace with values that fits our environment. And we need to do some basic things first. As you can see, I use a kubectl command, so it needs to communicate with the cluster. So I need to set the environment correct first. And you can see here, I follow the GNU-Z syntax since before. I have done this already in Illumus, and now I try this in FreeBSD, but admin conf. Now, well, I have already done this whole thing in Illumus. I have my own environment, my home infrastructure, Kubernetes cluster up and running since about 2.5 years in my Illumus environment. But now I'm curious how this works in FreeBSD environment. So let's see now. Well, it went to running, but only the deployment is in the state running. It won't probably be ready as the pods don't have all necessary communication between the nodes. So what I will do now, see if I have that one in the history as well. And I have. And as I can mention now, you see Cilium, I have the Cilium client command compiled for FreeBSD. It was really a gmake install, and then it came up. I guess I haven't really tried everything out yet, but it looks like something is happening at least. All the containers getting ready. You see here another state there. Core DNS terminated, and now it's provisioning and coming to state run. We have the Cilium CLI command. It says green. Let's check here. I have I can show you here what I have in this machine. I've installed the bash completion, so it should there. Hopefully it can now be in lazy mode. Yes. You can see that one tells green. That one doesn't tell green yet. It will take like almost or around 2 minutes. It should say green now. No. Close, but no cigar. Two and a half minutes. I'm not sure if this works then. I have made one attempt before this, and it was a success. Well, it took exceptionally long time, 3 minutes. That wasn't my plan, as I wanted to try out Hubble. I haven't done this before now, so let's hope it doesn't take 3 minutes for this one as well. Or it won't. It just deploys the Hubble UI and the services. Now we at least have some services deployed here. And what can we do with this one? You might wonder. We don't, in this cluster, we can't really use all kinds of deployments. We can't use things that relies on the admission controllers, as the Kube API server doesn't really know how to communicate back to the cluster IP resources. Those cluster IP subnets, they are only reachable within the pod network or the worker nodes. They have a VXLAN between them and they can communicate back and forth. But the Kube API server doesn't know that path. So in order to have that working, you need to sort out the networking with BGP. And I have wrote stuff about that as well here. Probably something I don't, yeah. I'll put some information here on how you can do it with BGP. And I intend to write down this article or this demo in a kind of article later on. Explain the steps I have took, but that's for another video. Let's get back to this one instead. So what have we now? We have deployed Hubble and we have deployed the Cilium CNI, my favorite CNI, and we can't reach the Hubble UI from here as it's just on a cluster IP, but we can do it like this instead. It's our environment, so we can use the node port if we want. What do we have here? We have a node port. It's a port that's open on all the nodes or all the worker nodes. And I can show you here. We have this for one of the nodes. And if everything is okay, we can go into Hubble, but we don't have anything interesting here. What can we do more? We can go into the Cilium project and search for the Star Wars demo to check this one out. We deploy it. The containers are creating. Do we see something here yet? No. We're not really communicating with each other, but we can do this one. We can have one X-wing to land on the Death Star, and well, the Hubble UI here says the same. And with the Hubble in here, we could have done it like this too. If I spell correct. We could see it here, or we can. I've already compiled the Hubble binary as well for the FreeBSD. With that one, you can do like this. You can. My fingers doesn't follow me. I am not really awake yet. Oh, no, I did it wrong. Really? You can do it like this as well. We can see that communication. And we can take this TIE fighter to you can see that one. You can see the TIE fighter here. You can see that one here. And probably we'll see something here. Yeah. So that was it for me. I hope you enjoyed my little demo. And I hope to be able to write down the working node auto join demo in an article later on in end of January. But until then, have a nice time. Ciao.